Alright, quick update on Solana. So, I'm going to start off on this relatively plain chart and talk about the market structure before we do move back over to my regular chart and we'll check out the Fibonacci's, the price levels, and what we're doing at this moment in time. So, right off the back, I need to increase my Fibonacci because since the last video that we made on Solana, we have had a slight move back to the upside. If you did watch the last Solana video, we basically highlighted this region, you know, a line of best fit round about this circle where I believe that Solana is and will be topping out before the next move back down to the downside. Now, in my last video specifically, I was looking at the daily EMA ribbons around about $37, and quite interestingly, we actually wicked up a tiny bit further than I expected. We moved up to $39 when we were calling for around about 37, but once again, you know, we weren't trying to call the exact US dollar region, we're kind of just circling this range and saying, in my opinion, this is where we are going to top out, and nothing has changed. So if we look at the market structure, while we have had, you know, I really don't want to say like a relatively decent bounce because, you know, this isn't really too much of a decent bounce whatsoever. If we do look at what we've got here, you can very much see the market structure is unchanged. You've got your high, you've got a lower high, lower low, you know, you could call this the low, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high. And if we do zoom in, on the daily, you can see, you know, a couple of days ago, this is where we came into the EMA ribbons on our last update. And today, we've once again come up, but we have formed a lower high. So, you know, we are running out of momentum, in my opinion. I think the market structure is very, very undeniably still bearish. Now, lower time frames, if you do want to see more continuation, it's not going to happen unless you take the lid off and take out $39.21. But why do I think that we're not going to be able to do this? Because, you know, we're coming up, we're getting a decent amount of selling pressure coming in as we are coming up to this $39. You can also see the 4-hourly squeeze bomb, which is our momentum indicator of choice, is starting to trickle back down to the downside, which is obviously not what you want to see if you do want to see continuation. You know, it's kind of just holding in there. I do think this is going to start moving down very, very soon. I'm not really too interested in what happens on the hourly time frame. I'm much more interested in what happens in the lower time, in the 4-hourly time frame and higher time frames. But once again, you can see this hourly wick brought us up to $38.45. And, you know, the top that we made a couple of days ago was $39.20. Hop over to the daily time frame. And the last major wick that we took out, or the last, you know, major run to the upside was up here at $44.99. Let's just call it $45. So macro market structure, even midterm market structure, really will not be taken out until you start moving above $45, which is something that, in my opinion, we are not going to see. I think we are getting ready to roll back down to the downside on Solana, and then I think we're going to have our last capitulation, and then I'm going to be talking about a couple of price targets where I personally do plan on picking up a tiny bit Solana. So I'm actually going to remove this chart forever. I didn't mean to draw what we drew today over on this chart. I meant to draw it over here, and then I realized that I thought I lost this chart, but nonetheless it's still here. So this chart is very much an eyesore at this moment. I've got a lot of Fibonacci's on the table. So right off the back, what I'm going to do is I just want to make you privy of a couple of macro Fibonacci levels that I will be marking with a orange horizontal ray, like this is a minus target down here, so we'd really be focusing on the 1.618 of this macro fib. If I remove this Fibonacci, that is now one less eyesore. Let's see, from this low to this high, this was here to show that we are still below the 236 at $53, so I think we can remove that. Anyway, you know, if we come up to the 786 Fibonacci at $56 to $57 and get rejected, you know, once again, this would be another key level. So 57 is the area to beat, in my opinion, which, in my opinion, once again, I don't think we will be taking that out. And these lower time frames, your 1.618 here, I don't think we'd be coming down to the $2, so I'm going to remove this Fibonacci, but I would also like to highlight from this low to this high, you know, this is what we're getting out of bed for. So what we're getting out of bed for today, or rather what other people are getting out of bed for this quote-unquote crazy bull run that we're currently witnessing on Solana, was the FUD price targets on the 10th of June. So, you know, 13 days ago, or should I say a month ago, if you told people, you know, Solana was going to $37, people would have called you a fudder, and, you know, you would have very much got dismissed. But now, when we're pumping up to $37, it's like everyone's switched back into bull mode, which is very, very funny to me. These markets move very, very fast, and every time we do this, we come up, we make our bounces, lower highs. It seems like everyone throws themselves out of the bed. Now, also, you can very much see, you know, this is a bounce, so, you know, I'm not taking that away from Solana. We've had a pretty decent bounce in terms of percent-wise, but this is a bounce to a lower high, and we are currently forming a bear flag right now. Now, if we break out of the downside of this, let's say we do it in the next 2 days, this could potentially mean that Solana could be coming down to $17. Now, what's interesting about the $17 price target is it almost kind of lines up with this $21 target that we've got, but I also do believe we've got wicks down here, because I remember this price target, $19. You've also got wicks at $18, and you've also got wicks and support here at $16.50. So I'm going to not focus too much on the micro ranges between this big green box. There's a lot of support that we could find ourselves between at $21 down to $12.50. But what I'm personally targeting when I personally plan on scooping up some Solana is round about this $10 mark, $9.94, which correlates to some previous bounces that we've got back down here in February 2021. This is where I think the bear market low for Solana is going to be. So let me take a movement tool, and this is kind of what I'm expecting to pan out. Another 73% drop. In my opinion, this would be the final capitulation, and I also don't think this is really too crazy. 73% to the downside. Bear in mind the market cap of this is, you know, almost 13 billion. That is very, very high for what Solana is. You know, Solana, it's an okay blockchain. It is still in its beta stages, and it has been having a lot of network issues recently. And from what I've heard and what I've been seeing myself, because I do use the Solana blockchain to buy Solana NFTs. For example, if you're new to my channel, you will see that my profile pic, this is a Solana NFT. These little raccoons down here, these are also Solana NFTs. So I do use the Solana blockchain very often. And I can say that in the past week or so that it really has stepped up, which is a good sign. Transactions are going through like that. There hasn't been any failed transactions recently. But I've said this before. I said it about 2 months ago when there was a quote-unquote upgrade, and once again it went down for like the 4th or 5th time this month or this year. It's been down many times this year, so it still is not fully battle tested, which is why it is in its beta stage. And subsequently, even though I do like the blockchain, looking at it from a level head, I don't necessarily think it justifies a 13 billion market cap. I mean, just take it into perspective, 13 billion is a lot of money. And with that being said, I really do find it quite likely that $9 to $10 would be on the table. Once again, I've been calling for these lower price targets since we were all the way up here around about the 70s, which was where I sold a decent amount of my Solana. And I'm able to buy back for half the price now because we've been sitting on the sidelines. But I'd much prefer to buy it down here at $10. If it never comes down there, so be it. But nonetheless, a lot of these cryptos look like they're getting ready for their next leg down. Now, the next level that we could potentially keep our eyes on is down here at $20. Because like I said, we've got a lot of support down here at $20. And if anything, the first pit stop we would be making, in my opinion, would probably be a bounce round about the $24, which is the 1.618 Fibonacci. And also, if we remove this for a second, let me get this black line. Was this the impasse and breakdown? No, this was the impasse and breakdown. So on this chart over here, you can see that we are, depending on how you want to draw it, you can draw it a few different ways. But we do have a massive M pattern here. And, you know, depending on how you want to draw it, whether you want to draw it as a big M pattern capitulating into another micro M pattern, it is completely up to yourself. But nonetheless, all of them are valid. This macro M pattern would be taking us down to $16.50. And this is personally where I plan on having this come down in probably the next month, is what I'm thinking at least. Now, there has been some bullish volume stepping in, but as you can see, it is decreasing at this moment in time on the daily time frame. This kind of really shows that, you know, bulls stepped in for that bounce. A lot of people bought the dip. I know that Solana has a massive NFT ecosystem because I myself am part of multiple Solana NFT ecosystems. I can tell you for a fact the Solana NFT ecosystem is probably one of the main drivers for the price in Solana, because a lot of people just buy up the coin supply. Rather, it's not a token, they buy up the coin supply and they use that to buy NFTs, and subsequently that Solana is locked and people are not people not openly trading it, so the velocity is very, very low, unless people are coming in and diving into to buy these dips like we've seen the past couple of days, the past week. But I don't really like trend lines, but you can see eyeballing this that we do have a decrease in volume. If we move over to the 4-hourly time frame, this is why I was saying this is interesting, because we actually broke above the 13 EMA. We back tested it, but this is where it gets sticky, because to have a successful backtest, keyword successful, because we've broken out of it, but it's not a confirmed breakout at this moment in time. To have a confirmed breakout, what you need to do is you need to flip the moving average. You need to find your invalidation point, which, if we look at what we've got going on here, you were invalidated at $39. Let me mark this white or something. So we flipped above the price, that is all good. We found our invalidation point, that is all good. We back tested it, that is the second point. But now the third and most important point, to have a confirmed bullish breakout, you need to take off the lid and break above this white line, which is currently residing at $39.23. Now, I don't necessarily think that we are going to be able to do that, and even if we do, moving over to the daily time frame, you can kind of see that it wouldn't really necessarily be too surprising if we did go up a tiny bit further, even though it's not really necessarily what I'm predicting at this moment in time. The daily market structure would be completely unchanged. Even if we came back up to the 786 fib at like $42, $43 and broke down, this would still be solidifying a macro lower high. Because bear in mind, it's all good looking at what's going on the 4-hourly time frame and saying, we've broken market structure, but you could have said this while we were here. You could have said, we've got a big high up here, we've broken down, we've made a high, we're coming down, we've got higher lows, and then you could have celebrated and said, we're finally getting out of bed, we've got a higher high in the market structure. But you can very much see the daily time frame, this is absolutely nothing new. You would have had to break above this point, and we didn't break above that point. So still, the downtrend is very much in play. I really wouldn't be getting out of bed for this. And maybe one of the main reasons why I'm looking forward to picking up some cheap Solana around about the $9 to $10 region is because, like I said, I do enjoy the Solana ecosystem. I am part of a lot of NFT communities, and subsequently I would really enjoy buying the dip and sweeping a lot of floors on my favorite projects. And at this moment in time, I don't want to do that at these prices. I've been sitting on the sidelines, not sweeping floors, not buying Solana NFTs since about $200, and because of that, it's almost a tenth of the price. So I really do think it's probably good to sit on the sidelines for a lot of these projects. Solana NFT projects specifically, most of them are if you're holding good ones, most of them are holding up very nicely in SOL terms. But if, like myself, you do kind of buy these NFTs as a way to increase your fiat, so you can use that fiat money to spend on dinners, spend on clothes, and whatever you want to spend your money on, then I would definitely probably recommend to wait until the US dollar valuation is a little bit more sweep to the downside on these SOL floors. For example, quite recently I sold one of my Solana NFTs so I could buy myself a new computer, and that's kind of just how I do these NFT things. I want to trade these NFTs and realize gains and make my life better, rather than just holding on to JPEGs of monkeys that, in my opinion, will probably be worthless in a year or two. Because the NFTs, especially on Solana, there's a lot of competition, so you've definitely got to watch out for that. It's like crypto on steroids. There's 100 new projects out every day, and 90% of them are rug pulls, 5% of them are scams, and the other 4% will probably just slowly stop losing interest, lose its fan base, and then they'll have to kind of slow rug it in the next couple of years. But there's definitely some ones out there I hold for the long term. My profile pic on YouTube and these raccoons, I'm probably never going to sell them just because I do like them as a profile pic, as a banner. I think the art is very nice, so even if they go to 0, even if they go to 100,000 each, I'm really not interested in selling them whatsoever. But with that being said, like I said at the start of the video, it looks like we are solidifying. It looks like we're probably getting ready to make a rounding top. The market structure is still in a lower low, lower high trajectory, and absolutely nothing has changed. So that is SOL USD. The next price target to keep your eyes on is $20, $21 specifically, and I think that's going to come down very, very quickly. My macro price target, once again, is specifically at $9.78, but I would start DCAing between the ranges of $11 down to $5. Now, before you throw rocks through my window, I do not think Solana is going to $5, but I would be, I would be, you know, I'd be foolish to not set a price order down there just in case. I feel like you should expect the worst and prepare for the best when you are in these markets, and you should probably prepare for the worst as well, because, you know, the people who have their buy orders set, you know, slightly lower, you know, even if you don't think it's going to go down that low, what's the worst thing that happens? You know, you buy at $11 and it doesn't go down to $5, but then you can say if it does go down to $5, and if it does, I imagine it would be bought up very, very quickly. That is when the people who have low buy orders are really going to benefit from that. So once again, $5 not on the table in my opinion. $11 to $9, that is my bear market low price target, and I did post that over on my Twitter. If you do want to follow me over on Twitter, the link is in the description. It is at 618_cowboy. So you know what I feel about Sol USD. Once again, we're coming into EMA ribbons, and historically every single time we do this, we seem to get battered down, apart from this one time we had a massive fake out to the upside. But I don't think we're going to be seeing this this fake out at this moment in time, for a lot of reasons. You know, the general markets are a lot more bearish than they were a couple of months ago, and this is why I want to move over into this segment of this video. So as always, if you are new to the channel, first of all, warm welcome. What I like to do on this channel is I like to recognize that you cannot understand the entirety of what is going on an altcoin or Bitcoin or whatever you're looking at. You will not be able to understand everything that is going on in Solana if you only look at Solana USD, and that is because Solana follows Bitcoin, Bitcoin follows the stock market follows the dollar, and the dollar is heavily affected by geopolitical news, economic news, and at this moment in time, the dollar is very strong. So I want to move over to a couple of charts as we do wrap up this video. Sol BTC, so how Solana is performing against Bitcoin, running out of volume on the weekly time frame. We did come down to this macro 786 fib, and we bounced up to the 618. So this could be the textbook confirmation that we need, that we're getting ready to break down to the downside. And I talked about this in the last video. You know, this was my macro price target. I've obviously got to move up now because we have had a slight bounce, but nothing's changed. 61.5% drop down to around about this level here, down to the lows. This is what I see panning out on Sol BTC. With that being said, you can really see we are absolutely struggling at this moment in time to get above the 786 Fibonacci, and you know, we're bouncing into this, and it's very hard to see. If I mark it with a very small line right here, you can see this is a lower high. So if this ends up being a double top, and in my opinion I think it will, you can really start to see a big move back down to the downside very soon. Solana has been holding up very nicely in the past week. I feel like that's fairly obvious. The market cap's moved from about 9 billion all the way up to about 13 billion, which, like I said, very impressive. I'm not trying to take away the bounce that Solana's had. I do just think this is another lower high in the market structure. Looking at the total cryptos, like I said, we are sitting at number 9, and because of the bounce that we've been having in the past week or so, you can see the 7 days we're up a lot higher than Dogecoin. A couple of weeks ago, Sol and Doge were very neck and neck, and what I mean by that is the market caps were very close, and you know, if Doge pumped like another 10% or so, you could have seen Doge flip Solana, which I don't necessarily think is going to happen. Nonetheless, it is good to see that at least at this moment in time, Sol is holding up very nicely at number 9. Let's take out this shitcoin XRP. I think XRP is the one that we need to flip. At some point in time, XRP, in my opinion, probably going to 0, and this is 100% going to fall out of the top 25. With that being said, let's move over to a couple of other charts. Bitcoin dominance heading down on the weekly time frame, but we are lollygagging at this moment in time. We're chilling at the 618 Fibonacci. We are finding very strong support on the weekly EMA ribbons, and when this starts to move back to the upside, this is when you're going to see the Sol BTC pair capitulate down to my price target down here, which once again is the 61.5% drop. Looking at Bitcoin, 4-hourly time frame, we've got a beautiful head and shoulders pattern panning out right now. Now, we had a few different ways or a few different failed versions of this. For example, you can see a left shoulder here, a head, and we came up right here to make the right shoulder, and then we came down and it was invalidated because we moved back up. But with this macro head and shoulders right now, you can very much see you've got a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and you know, in this structure you can see it's almost like we made a baby right shoulder, but I think this is probably the best way to draw it. This very much holds up when you're looking at the candle body closes within this head and shoulders time frame, and looking at the 4 hourly squeeze bomb, we're starting to lose volume, we're starting to lose momentum. Hourly time frame, we're pumping back into the hourly EMA ribbons, and it looks like we're about to converge into light red, which is indicative that Bitcoin would be getting ready for that next leg to the downside, and probably going to lead Sol BTC massively to the downside. Now, wrapping up this video with a couple of other charts, Bitcoin is fighting with its previous all-time high. I feel like we're getting ready for that big flush out to the downside. The total crypto market cap is basically lollygagging on the 200-week moving average. The next line down you can say it's the 786, but we've already bounced on that. So I think the next leg down would be the 300-week. This would be wiping out approximately 250 billion, or 28% from the total crypto market cap. Looking at the altcoin market cap, we've done pretty much the same thing. We've bounced on the 786 Fibonacci, at least the micro 786. We've bounced on the 200 week very specifically, and just like with this chart, I think we're going to come down to the 300 week, wiping out 182 billion. And as you can tell, the numbers between the total crypto market cap and the altcoin market cap are not very different, which kind of this kind of validates my theory, at least, that Bitcoin is going to outperform altcoins again on the next leg down. The dollar is breaking out of a cup and handle pattern. The handle was so tiny, which really does just show how bullish this cup and handle is. Now, you could have even drawn this as the handle. I much prefer how it looks over here. But you know, nonetheless, you can take it how you will. I'm not even going to take the price target of this because I don't think it's going to be coming into fruition. But nonetheless, the 1.618 fib extension up here at 111 is where I think the dollar is going. Why are we talking about the dollar? If the dollar takes its next leg to the upside, this is going to allow the stock market SPY to capitulate another 15%. That capitulation in the stock market will allow Bitcoin to capitulate below its previous all-time high and take its last leg down to 16,500 to 14,000, where I personally believe the bottom will be. When Bitcoin starts to capitulate, you can imagine total crypto market cap and the altcoin market cap will capitulate. The Bitcoin dominance will start to move to the upside. Bitcoin will move down, and subsequently, while the dominance is moving up, that can only mean Bitcoin will outperform alts, and this is where we're going to see the rejection from the 618 pan out and carry us all the way down to my price target down here at 0.0007 of a Bitcoin. That would be the valuation of one Solana against Bitcoin, and then I think we'll probably lollygag, maybe do something like this, because normally what happens in the market structure, and what I mean by this is if you go back to the 2018 bear market, what did Bitcoin do? You know, Bitcoin had its capitulation, it found its bottom, and what did it do? It bounced, it came down very strongly and made a very nice higher low. During this exact same period in time, altcoins did this. You know, they broke down, they bounced with Bitcoin, and they outperformed Bitcoin, and then when Bitcoin went back down to make its higher low, altcoins came down and made a lower low. So this is the difference with altcoins and Bitcoin when you are looking at the 2018 bear. You know, for example, I'm not going to show you and dive into this for this video particularly, but go check out what happened with ADA, BTC, not BTC rather. Go look at what happened on the alt BTC pairs for ETH, ADA, Ethereum, or I already said ETH, XRP, Litecoin. Go check out all of the old OG coins, even Chainlink from back in the day. And none of them made that higher low. They all took another lower low. So I think this is where we're going to get an extended flat bottom before we do have a big move back to the upside for Solana. And that's going to mean that Solana, in my opinion, is coming down to between 10 or should I say $9 to $10, which once again is where I plan on buying the dip. That's all I've got for you for Solana today. I hope you enjoyed the extensive update. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.